Welcome to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast, where you get unconventional insights into wealth building and retirement that actually work. Discover data-driven strategies and learn from a wealth of experience so that you can take your retirement to the next level. Now, here's your host. He was once bitten by a harbor seal, the income engineer, Kraig Strom.
Okay, we are back on Personal Pension Radio. PersonalPensionRadio.com is the website. If my voice sounds a little raspy, it is because I've been blessed with my first cold or flu in about a year. So I guess I can't complain too much. So just getting over that and recording live from Mr. Foley's van inside a hermetically sealed bubble in the parking lot outside of a local hospital, just to make sure that I'm separated from the general public. So, if you're new to Personal Pension Radio, what is it all about? We are all about optimizing retirement income. That is the key, optimizing retirement income, because let's face it, on the day after you retire, do you really care how big your 401k statement is or how big your investment account statement is? That's great, but aren't you more concerned about how much income can I take from my 401k, or how much income can you take from your investments without running out of money? You see, retirement income maximization does not happen with a specific product. Mutual funds, life insurance, real estate, annuities, none of those things by themselves will help you optimize retirement income. You have to have an integrated approach. So that's what I'm all about here on Personal Pension Radio, is conversations to help you pay attention to that income question as the primary question you should be asking. If you're engaging with a financial advisor or a financial plan, the question should be, what is my income plan? Find that out sooner than later, because I tell you what, I've met so many people who have been disappointed with the income conversation they have with their financial advisors, and they waited until they got within 5 to 10 years of retirement. So, quick disclosure before I continue. I am not an attorney. I'm not a CPA. I am a certified financial planner professional, which means I'm an egghead for financial planning, and that's all well and good. But please do not act on advice that you hear on my show, or especially from financial entertainers on the radio or podcasts or television or articles that you read in the news. Just please don't act on those financial topics or any advice that you might be getting from those sources, because it's so important for you to have customized, specific conversations about your situation. Because your situation is different than mine. It's different than everybody else around you. You want to make sure that you're getting advice that is tailored to you. So there's my short disclosure, just to make sure that I get that for everybody there. So let's start with segment number 1, which is watch your step. Now this, for those of you who are new to the show, watch your step is a phrase that I use reminiscent of when I was a kid. I grew up in Maine. We had a lot of land and we had a lot of farms around us, so you'd always have to watch your step to make sure that you weren't stepping in something that you didn't want to scrape off your shoe, if you get what I mean. So I want to help you pay attention to all of the various media sources that are coming at us through print media and especially through the internet, so that I'll give you my take on it, and hopefully that'll give you some additional resources to step back away from the information that you're being bombarded with and ask some of your own questions. Just look at it in a little different perspective. This particular segment, I actually have to go back and probably just change my mind completely. When I went through and I saw this today and I went through this, I've got to go back and change my mind. Back on episode 51, episode 51, I actually commented on the silencing of Dave Ramsey. Those of you who've listened to my show, you know that I like a lot of things about Dave Ramsey as far as the way that he teaches some good basic financial principles, but I really have an issue with some of the very important financial advice that he gives out with no basis, no foundation for giving out advice. And yet, in episode 51, I was actually suggesting and arguing that I would not want to see some federal regulator coming in to silence Dave Ramsey because he wasn't licensed. My concern was what happens to other financial bloggers, financial YouTubers, financial podcasters. Does that mean that the Department of Labor and other federal regulators would start coming after those individuals as well after they go after the big dog, Dave Ramsey? So I had suggested, and the way I had felt at the time I recorded episode 51 was just, I don't agree with Dave Ramsey on many different things, but I didn't think it was right for the government to come after him. Now, after this particular bit of research for today's show, I have to tell you, I'm feeling like I wish they would break down the door right now and go in and start asking questions about this stuff, because this just blew me away. So here's the Watch Your Steps segment information that I'm referring to. And by the way, this is going to be in the show notes. I encourage you to go to the show notes, click on the link, go to the website, and use this retirement planning tool that is now associated with Ramsey Solutions, which is Dave Ramsey's new website and his updated corporate name. So I want to make sure it's full disclosure. This is just me using a tool on a website. It's all public domain. I really encourage you to go there and test it for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. I have some pretty passionate feelings about it, but it is my opinion, and I want you to go ahead and have your own, create your own, and formulate your own position. So, Dave Ramsey has a relationship now with Chris Hogan. Chris Hogan is a football star, retired, but he has turned himself into a retirement advice guru. And he is now Dave Ramsey's chosen retirement advice guru. He speaks at various different events with him, and he has a new book out. And on his website, again, the link will be in the show notes, he has an interesting retirement tool that, as I was researching the next segment, I found this particular tool, and it just made my head, catch on fire. This is called a Retirement IQ tool. So the Retirement IQ or RIQ tool, where you can go through and enter some basic data. And I was able to go to this website, and you can do this yourself, and I entered in a current annual income. So what I did is I just made up a case, and I said, I'm going to put my income currently at $90,000 a year. And then it asks, once I click next, it asks me how many years to the time when I would like to retire. So I put in 25 years. And then it asks me, what do I want for my desired income in retirement? So the calculator, this calculator that is offered through this website with Chris Hogan and Dave Ramsey, the calculator says that it will incorporate inflation for you, so we just use today's numbers. So I put in $90,000 as income today, and I put in that I want to retire with at least 115%. Notice, I did not put in that I want to retire on less. I did not put in that I want to retire on less income. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that should be a target for retirement. You should, in my opinion, you should strive to retire on the same or better income if you can. If it's possible, you got to get as close as you can to the best possible scenario. So I put in that I'd like to retire on $103,500. So starting at 90, 25 years from now, I'd like the equivalent of $103,500. Now, I also put in, then you click next, and it asks, how much do you currently have saved? So I figured with 25 years to retirement, that would be a 40-year-old person. So I put in $300,000 saved. Okay? So I put in $300,000. Now, when I click next again, it gave me a summary sheet, and I'm going to put a copy of the summary sheet in the show notes. It's actual screen grab printout of the actual summary. And that's where I just lost my mind. I could not believe it. It just blew me away. And what it actually said was that without adding anything, without adding any money, no savings whatsoever to my $300,000, I was on track for retirement and I would have $5.936 million. So soak that in for a second. I started with $300,000, and it said on the page, without adding any more money, I would be on track for $5.936 million. And just for everybody doing the math, I will do the math for you so you can continue to run on the treadmill, drive your car, don't do the math. The math is this. That equates to a 12.6825% return. 12.6825% return. Like I said, if I had been riding a bike, I probably would have fallen off the bike. That is amazing that's the kind of numbers that are being quoted on Dave Ramsey's website through this guy, Chris Hogan, as the retirement guru. Amazing. Please do me a favor. Don't take my word for it, because this is just me and my opinion on this side, right? Although I am a licensed, regulated, qualified, educated financial planning professional, right? And I've got all this background, 18, 19 years. It's still my opinion here on this podcast to say, oh my heck, that is crazy. Please go check it out for yourself. So as you're out there and you're looking at retirement calculators and you're looking at retirement planning advice, please step back away, ask some questions, say, wow, what's the actual rate of return necessary to make that work? So last year, oh gosh, maybe it was 2014, 2015, Dave Ramsey had been actually called out by the Motley Fool and for saying that the average rate of return is 12% and that you can expect 12% and 12%, and they kept saying 12%. And the Dave Ramsey website was actually finally changed and stopped quoting 12% and actually lowered the number down. And that's the part that just blew me away here, is that I run this retirement income calculator that is tied directly to Dave Ramsey and now his Ramsey Solutions company. And this guy, Chris Hogan, who is the retirement spokesperson for Ramsey Solutions, right? 12.6825%. So beware. Please, please beware. Question this kind of stuff. Go there, check the show notes. You can check it out directly. Run your own, okay? Because according to this, I am going to quit my job tomorrow and just get a basic, part-time job, maybe just nice and easy, because according to this calculator, I'm going to have $5.9 million when I retire. I don't need to do anything else. I just need to find one of their endorsed local providers. Oh, there is the rub. That was the thing, is that right along with this analysis, you can click on the next link that takes you to enter your information to be connected with an endorsed local provider. Well, what that means is a financial advisor who pays money to be on the website as a recommended person. Oh, so that's it. So all I need to do is I need to go through this website, and I can get to 5.9 million and 12.6825% every year for the next 25 years, as long as I then get attached to an endorsed local provider. So I think that's it. Sounds like retirement is taken care of. All kidding aside, everybody, I don't know how to get the word out any more than I can on my podcast and at this point, because it's a difficult environment that I work under as an actual regulated, licensed financial planner professional. We have lots of rules and restrictions and requirements and various different things that we have to live by, that I endeavor to live by every one of the rules that I need to live by. And it's very hard for those of us in the financial advisory community who are top-notch people all over the country, great financial advisors all over the country, that cannot compete with the search engine optimization and the marketing machine behind an operation like Dave Ramsey or his Chris Hogan retirement guru. It's very difficult for us to be able to put out a similar message with the freedom that they have, because under our guidelines and our regulations, we can't say these things. I couldn't say this. If I tried to put this up as a retirement plan, it would be a violation of multiple different things, and I would never put this up anyway. But there are rules and restrictions that prevent financial planning professionals from offering this kind of retirement projection. This is not realistic at all, you see. So it's difficult for us to compete to try and get the correct message out there. So the only way that it's going to happen is that more and more of you listening to this show, share it with your friends, share it out there on social media. Go and run the calculator yourself, and then if you think it's right, good luck with you. If you think it's kind of crazy, share it on Facebook and say, wow, this is ridiculous, right? I mean, you can go out there and actually spread the message beyond just this podcast. And I think that would be the most valuable thing that my audience could do, is get the word out there, encourage others to think beyond the simple words, little sound bites and things that come out in these kind of articles and these kind of websites. So there you go. Enough about that. So now, the next one, I actually wanted to do a 5 simple rules to retirement kind of a list. I wanted to make up a list, Kraig's, financial rules to retirement, or the income engineer's rules to retirement. That sounded cool, but then I realized that I'd like to do my own list, but the search engine results, when I went to search for rules for retirement or steps to retirement, or I started just searching Google for these types of search inquiries, right? The results are dominated by the big corporations like Money Magazine, USA Today, Forbes, Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman's, the CNN, these organizations that have huge volume and content, and they just dominate the Google search engine results. So what I realized was that I could spend a lot of time doing 5 simple rules to retirement, but my own list would most likely not come up in the first 2 or 3 pages of Google, and it might cost a fortune to get my list to come up on the first page of Google. So what I thought to do instead was I wanted to do a bit of a review of the list that came up as I was researching for this podcast. So here we go. The first list that I came up with when I searched rules for retirement or steps for retirement was, you guessed it, another USA Today article. USA Today puts out a huge amount of content, and their list was very interesting to me. So if you were to click on their list, and by the way, the links are all in the show notes, but the heading is Steps to a Secure Retirement. Oh, okay. So here's a list of 5 things that I can do that will take me to a secure retirement. So I click on this article, and the very first thing that it says, number 1, will debt help or hinder retirement? What? That's not a step to retirement, but good question. Okay, so because there's actually some, I want to comment on this. I want you to think about this because there's actually a financial advisory team in Los Angeles, in the Los Angeles area, but they're a national firm, and they are doing a radio advertising campaign at the end of last year all about how you should have a 30-year mortgage in retirement. So this heading from USA Today interested me, and it said, step number 1, maybe you should have some kind of debt in retirement that might help you and some that might hinder you. That's crazy talk. A 30-year mortgage in retirement is basically just renting for your entire retirement so that you can leave a house behind for your children. If that's what you want to do, great. But the goal should be to have your home paid off or nearly so that you're not burdened by that additional mortgage. And as a matter of fact, I personally, and this is where I'll step back, full disclosure, this is my opinion, this is not financial advice, I personally look forward to using a reverse mortgage when I get to my retirement years, as long as I am in my forever home. The home that I can die in, the home that I can live in while I'm 90, a single-story, level entry, easy-to-maintain house, I would definitely get a reverse mortgage. So that kind of debt I might go for. But these financial advisors that are out there talking about using 30-year mortgages in retirement on your house, that's just crazy. I don't understand that. And they do all kinds of math, and they tell you why it makes sense, but if we sat down and actually did the math for you personally, for most of my clients, it doesn't make any sense at all. It didn't make sense for my mother. My mother had what would have been a 30-year mortgage in retirement. And it basically would have been a rent payment for her to live in her house until she died and left the house to me and my sister. So instead, we used a reverse mortgage to turn the 30-year rent payment off. So my mother now has a reverse mortgage. She no longer makes any kind of a mortgage payment. Will my sister and I inherit less money? Probably. We don't care because my mother lives financially much more comfortable than she would have. So debt help or hinder retirement? Well, a 30-year mortgage in retirement I personally think is kind of crazy. Reverse mortgage could be something that could help in retirement. Okay, so USA Today, step 1, debt or, okay, got that. Step 2, very little saved for retirement. Again, I don't understand the way this thing is written, but yes, big secret, everybody, you do have to save for retirement. It's not magic. Although Dave Ramsey's website that I mentioned earlier, I don't have to save anything. I'm fine according to the calculator. I don't have to do a darn thing. I can just spend everything. But yes, you do have to save for retirement. You just have to save right. Okay? Next, number 3, new career direction. What? The title of the article was Steps to a Secure Retirement. So step 3 is a new career direction? Okay, maybe look for a promotion, get a pay raise. Okay. And then the number 4, is $1 million enough to retire on? What? Where? That doesn't make any sense again either, right? So these are the places that are coming up as the sources when people are searching on Google, and this is the kind of odd list that unfortunately people are finding. So is $1 million enough? No, generally it's not. And then the final one, number 5, my favorite on the list, Steps to a secure retirement. Calculate how much you need to save. You're missing one. Calculate how much income you need. How much income do you ultimately want and need? That drives back to how much you need to save. Nowhere does it mention how much you need to save. So again, link in the show notes there. Next, the next one that came up on my search was Susie Orman. Susie Orman is another one of my favorite financial entertainer people. So her title was Conquer Your Retirement Fears. So she had 4 steps. The first step, grab an employer match. So what she's talking about is a 401k match. So if your employer offers a 401k, unfortunately not every employer does, but if your employer offers a 401k, go after the match. Grab the match. Okay, great. That's excellent. Next, focus on Roth IRA. Focus on Roth. That was the second step. The second way to conquer your retirement fears is to focus on Roth IRA. Now, I put in a little note on mine. Don't forget the Roth 401k. So some employers have included, and many employers now that have 401k plans are also offering the Roth 401k. That's a great option because the Roth, if you don't know, you put the money in today where you pay your income taxes today on that contribution amount, the amount that you earned, but when you pull the money out of a Roth, you don't pay income taxes again. And so if everybody in the audience could just pause for a moment, and I'm going to ask you a question. Do you believe that taxes will be higher in the future? Raise your hands if you believe taxes will be higher. Yeah, you see, everybody raises their hands. Everybody raises their hands when I ask, do you believe taxes will be higher in the future? So, if you put money away in a 401k where you take a tax deferral today, someday you have to pay that tax back. And if your tax rate is higher in the future, I hope you saved that money somewhere else because the government wants it back. So, second step from Susie Orman, focus on Roth IRA. I suggest don't forget the Roth 401k. The third step from Susie Orman and her Conquer Your Retirement Fears is invest for the long haul. Now, I have to say I totally agree. Invest for the long haul, meaning when you look at why you save for retirement, you save for retirement for retirement. And that's 20 years down the road for many people, sometimes 25 or 35 years. You save for that point in the future. So it is a long haul. Always have a mindset of the long journey to retirement, but don't lose sight of taking care of your lifestyle today, but make sure that you look at things on the long haul. Totally agree with that one. And then the fourth one from Susie Orman is save automatically. Again, I'm a big fan of that one. Personally, my savings strategy started with a $25 automatic savings plan at my credit union, maybe 25 years ago, where I literally could take $25 a month and just disappear it into another account that I really didn't pay attention to. And the next thing you know, I was doing $50 a month, and then I was doing $100 a month, and then I was doing $250, and eventually I was saving a significant amount of money because I just automated my savings. So automating your savings is a big deal. I think that's a great idea personally, that the best place, in my opinion, to start with automating your savings is with your liquidity, your emergency funds. So start with, for example, a savings account at a bank that doesn't necessarily have an ATM card or a checkbook associated with it, but a place that you could just automatically put money into electronically would be good, that is available and accessible if you really needed it, but it's not as easy to get as your standard checking account with a debit card. So saving automatically, I love that. That's a great piece. Okay. Finally, another article here, another list, if you will, from U.S. News. So another one of the big dominating Google search organizations is U.S. News. Huge amount of content. And their article was Steps to Retirement Planning for Entrepreneurs. I like that one because I'm an entrepreneur. So, steps to retirement planning for entrepreneurs. So I was thinking, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. All right. Step 1, keep the business separate. So keep them separated, right? I agree with that for sure. If you're a small business, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go out and get an LLC, a limited liability corporation, or an S Corp or something like that. It's a good idea to use accounting software. I recommend using software. There's free software tools available, but I like Quicken or QuickBooks, and I keep all of my business expenses accounted for separately from my personal. So I make sure that they are carefully recorded and transactions are separated between business and personal. That's great advice. Okay. Number 2, make your budget flexible. Now, those of you who've listened to the show for a while, you've probably heard my take on budgets. I personally have not been able to do a budget or get comfortable with budgeting. So what I've done is I've built a habit over the years of going in 2 or 3 times a month. I go in with my computer and I reconcile my checking account and my credit card statements. And I track and record and physically, visually match up every transaction, every bit of income and expense that goes through my accounts. I actually visibly see those things. I touch them, if you will. That's my budget. That's how I have a good connection to my cash flow and how things are going for my wife and I. So the advice here from U.S. News is fine. Make your budget flexible. So if you do keep a budget, make it flexible, but I would encourage a little extra. Don't make it too flexible. I mean, because if it's too flexible where the numbers can move quite a bit up and down, well, that's not really a budget, is it? So be flexible with your budget, but to a certain extent. I would encourage you that if you've ever had a hard time with a budget, try to build the habit of going in and reconciling. I personally like the electronic technology that allows me to synchronize directly with my checking and my credit card, because I don't want to spend 3 hours doing my reconciling every time I do it. I would encourage you, if you've ever had a hard time with a budget, try and track everything you purchase, everything that happens on your checking and your credit card. It's really easy to do nowadays. Try and do that consistently for 2 or 3 months, and it will become a habit that it'll just continue with you. Okay. All right. So number 3 on the 5 steps to retirement planning for entrepreneurs from U.S. News. Plan ahead. Yeah, I mean, that's good basic advice. Plan ahead. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. I mean, plan ahead. Now, what they don't say in the article, of course, they're talking about plan for contingencies, emergencies, opportunities. Plan ahead, for me, should include the words plan ahead for retirement income. You haven't heard any of these lists talk about plan for retirement income. Okay, everything is about savings. And sure enough, number 4 on the list here is automate your savings. So I'm not sure if U.S. News copied Susie Orman's list or if Susie Orman copied them, but maybe we need to report the 2 of them to each other. So basically the identical item there. Automate your savings. And then, finally, leverage retirement accounts for entrepreneurs. So there are certain kinds of retirement accounts that an entrepreneur, a self-employed individual, can use when they don't have a 401k available at a big employer, let's say. So I have a bone to pick with this one, is that this is 5 steps to retirement, but the reality is the 4th and 5th step are both about saving for retirement. So automate your savings and then leverage a retirement account for entrepreneurs. That's a savings vehicle. So it's really only 4 steps. They should have just tied them into the both. So let me wrap up with this, because hopefully some of you are thinking like, well, okay, Kraig, give me your 5. All right, because remember, I'm not going to be the big Google search engine optimization guy, but here's my 5. I just went through these and I thought, here are the 5 things that I would encourage you to do. Your top 5 things to do as you plan for retirement. Number 1, protection first. Protection first. As you're getting ready to save for retirement, if you don't have the protection around your investments, your financial world, your family world, if you don't have your children's car insurance done right, your home insurance done right, your business and life insurance and all those things done right, and you're just saving money and you go, I don't have time to buy life insurance because I'm saving $700 a month into my 401k. I don't have any extra money to buy disability insurance in case I get disabled. Well, okay, so if you become disabled and you can't work, how will you save for retirement if you don't have the income anymore from a job? Oh, you can't. You've got to make sure that your protection is strong so that your family can continue to pay day-to-day expenses and save for retirement. If you died or became disabled, your family still continues to live on. You've got to make sure that they can continue towards a retirement and pay for college and do all the things that they were going to do with you there in fully employed or fully in capable position. So protection first, number 1. Number 2, in my top 5 things to do planning for retirement, build a strong foundation. Building a strong foundation means having cash on hand, cash in the bank, cash available for opportunities and emergencies. That's your emergency fund. That's a place where you've got money in case something bad does happen, but more importantly, money that's there for opportunities that might come up that if you didn't have cash, you would miss a great opportunity. Next, number 3. Okay, so we've got 1 and 2. Number 3, determine your retirement income target. You've got to know where you want to end up. And that's a piece that is missing from most every bit of financial lists and financial discussions out there in the world today is retirement income. So determine your retirement income target. And for those of you new to the show, this is my area of specialty. I am the income engineer. I love the discussion around retirement income planning. So if you would like to see your own retirement income projections, your own retirement income strategy options, you can contact me at personalpensionradio.com. Just go there to the website, contact me, and I'll be happy to actually work up your own retirement income projections based on where you are today, and they will not be the crazy voodoo witchcraft numbers that I referenced earlier in this podcast, but they'll be real numbers that are actually much more attainable and just true to life for your specific situation. Okay? So now, once you've got your retirement income target and you really know where you want to end up, step 4 is a balanced saving and investment strategy. It's a balanced savings and investment strategy. And it's got a few things that I want to stress underneath that or as associated with step number 4. Number 1 to pay attention to in your savings and investment strategy is to seek efficiency first. Seek efficiency first. Look at the costs and the lost opportunity costs, the fees, the inefficiencies associated with a savings or investment vehicle. Make sure that you're being conscious of how much that investment costs. Okay, it doesn't mean that you get to invest for free or that you should be looking to invest for free, because that's just not available. But to be mindful of the efficiencies of wherever you're going. What are the costs? What are the things that are bleeding money out of that investment or savings vehicle? Next, look for true diversification. True diversification. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say that you're looking at a mutual fund account recommended by some financial gurus out there on the internet, and they say that you should have small caps, large caps, international mutual funds, and you should have some bond funds. Small caps, large caps, internationals, and bond mutual funds. Well, I'm here to tell you that is not diversification. That is not diversification. Those are all risk assets that can fluctuate very closely together in the markets when they move up and down. So go back and ask yourself and think about this. Go back and I'll ask you, what happened to all of those investment classes in the recession? Yeah, they all went down. So were they really diversified? No. They were not diversified. If they all move together in one fashion or another, that's not true diversification. So seek diversification for real, okay? So if you're going to have mutual funds, great. If you've got a few mutual funds that move together and they actually are very similar in their movements, ups and downs, find the one that costs the least. And then find another asset or another investment opportunity that is not connected to those things, that doesn't move in the same direction. This is an area where you can have a conversation with someone like me, a financial planning professional, to discuss this in very specific details for you and your situation, okay? Now, under the balanced savings and investment strategy, right, the last two things, have a balanced approach that includes cash, business assets, life insurance assets, mutual funds, stocks, real estate, etc. A balanced approach. Remember what I said at the beginning of the show. Maximum retirement income does not happen with a product. And a mutual fund is a product. Life insurance is a product. Real estate is a product. Not one of those things by themselves is the answer to retirement income. A balanced approach to those things goes a long way to maximizing retirement income. Next, the 401k is great under that balanced savings and investment strategy. The 401k is great, but remember to save the deferred tax somewhere. So if you put money in a 401k and you did not pay the tax on that money yet, remember you should really save that tax somewhere else and grow it up, because someday the government is going to come back and ask you for that tax money, and it's a big impact on 401ks when you have to pull extra money out to basically pay the taxes that they're asking for as well. So it's always a good idea to have a plan in place that says, hey, if I didn't spend $3,000 in taxes this year because I put in my money in my 401k, maybe I should save $3,000 somewhere else so that I can build up that money elsewhere in addition to my 401k. So just another way to look at it. All right, so we've gone through 1 through 4 on my top 5 things to planning for retirement. Number 5, have a contingency plan. Have contingency plan conversations. What if the plan doesn't work? And my advice is always that things have to work under a variety of conditions, not just perfect conditions. So if they don't work under a variety of conditions, ups and downs, goods and bads, then you've got to have contingency plans in place, options to do something different, okay? So that's my top 5 things for retirement planning, for a secure retirement plan. Number 1, protection first. Number 2, build a strong foundation. Number 3, determine your retirement income target. Number 4, a balanced saving and investment strategy. Number 5, contingency plans in place. So that wraps it up for today's episode. Really appreciate everybody being here. The Personal Pension Radio podcast has actually grown tremendously. I'm so excited by the audience that we have. You're all fantastic. We've received some excellent reviews on iTunes recently. Encourage you to go to iTunes. Leave us some wonderful reviews if you can. Share this out on Facebook and social media with your friends. Because like I said, as wonderful as I think my content is, it's going to be very difficult, and I'm probably going to have to cancel my daughter's college expenses if I ever wanted to try and get on the first page of Google ahead of USA Today or US News or some of these other folks. They just dominate the search engine optimization area. So I need your help. The Personal Pension Radio community, get out there on Facebook. Find us on Facebook, like us, share it with your friends, share this podcast, and keep sending in the requests for what you want to hear as far as topics and things to cover on the show. Really appreciate you being here. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you for listening to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast. If you missed anything during the show, that's okay. We took the notes for you. Check the show notes for links, offers, and a full transcript. And don't forget to head over to personalpensionradio.com and download your free retirement income report. While you're there, we'd appreciate some iTunes love. Please leave us a fantastic rating on iTunes by going to personalpensionradio.com/iTunes. Thanks again for listening.